I'm standing here in Riverview Park in Independence, or what the locals like to call the community's living room. This location has been considered the living room of Independence since the 1930s. At that time, at the top of the park, there stood a row of commercial buildings, and down at the end of C Street, there would have been the ferry crossing on the Willamette River. There were also hops being grown in this area. In the 1930s, this area was called the Hop Bowl. It was more than just a home to the community's fiesta. It was also the home field for the Independence High School hopsters. For a period of time post-World War II, this park was called Polk Marine Park. But in 1983, the community decided to change its name to Riverview. Since that time, the park has undergone many changes, and I'm here today to learn more about the history and development of Riverview Park as we see it today. Mayor McCardle, thank you for meeting me here in Riverview Park today.
I'm happy to be here. This is exciting.
Yeah, I know this project you had a lot to do with, so you felt like the right person to talk to about the history of this park. I was wondering if you could let me know a little bit about how the idea for the amphitheater got started.
Well, this in the old days was called the Hop Bowl, and they had up on the top there were warehouses, and then the edge of the river, the floodplain, came up against where the seating is now, and along here along C Street. And so people would use it for baseball games and all sorts of things in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Sure. And then when we got here in the 90s, it was pretty much, there was a dirt, not very well used or taken care of, kind of a baseball field, and then the hillside, which was very, very steep, was blackberries and ivy. So it wasn't, and it was grass out here, and then the 1960s and 70s parking lot down here for boats. And so the whole idea of a bowl, an amphitheater, had been kicking around for the 90s. It was even in the 1996 plan. It was mentioned that it would be really nice to have something like that. And so as time went on, people go, well, how do we do that? So we kept having that idea in all the plans, and we kept talking to people about it because it was something that would bring the whole community together and be a place for people to gather. And so part of the whole project is that how are we going to do that? Because we don't have the money to do that kind of stuff, because it's a big project. Right. And then there's a program that the National Guard has that's a civilian military projects. It's where they use National Guard folks as training exercises to do community projects. Sometimes they find there's a lot, they bulldoze the blackberries, and they can put in a ball field or something. So we pitched the idea and put this together of what an amphitheater could look like, what the possibilities were, and so that got submitted for a civilian military project. Well, the Congresswoman Darlene Hooley was in office at that time, and one of her congressional staff members, a guy named Travis Brower, he was going, well, Independence has put in a request for a project. Well, it's getting close to the end of the fiscal year. Well, maybe I'll see if there's any budget dust at the Department of Defense. Budget dust at the Department of Defense can be huge. So he picks up the phone, and I like to say he did 1-800 call the Pentagon. And so he did, and somebody answered, and he says, hi, this is Travis from Congresswoman Hooley's office, and we have a proposal in there for a project at Independence. And he starts talking a little bit about the project. Well, as he's talking, all of a sudden he realizes that the person asking questions of him doesn't really sound like a staff person. It just kind of like, turns out he'd accidentally direct dialed the Assistant Secretary of Defense, like the number 2 person at the Pentagon. And he's apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary. I'll call somebody back. He says, no, I want to know more about this Independence place. And so he begins to tell them not just about the project, but about our 4th of July celebration, about the fact that we'd already nailed down to have the Downtown Association, the Rotary, and the Lions Club to do a barbecue for the National Guard folks if we got the project. To also talking about how the Cub Scouts and the American Legion would go about on national holidays putting up flags in downtown. It's the all-American story. And so the person on the other goes, oh, that's really cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. Have a great day. Okay. And Travis is going, well, okay, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Fast forward to the next Monday at 8:15. Into the city manager's office walks Major Brewer of the construction battalion. He goes, "I don't know who you guys know at the Pentagon, but you now have the #1 civilian military project west of the Mississippi. Where do we park our stuff?" And as this project went on, as it got towards the end, the Downtown Association, the Rotary Club, and the Lions Club did the barbecue for the soldiers, and it was a great time. And they invited the community to come, and the kids got to ride the Humvees and go over the bridge and see all the stuff that went in here. And so it became really a wonderful project. You know, one of the things that's so important about this amphitheater is that it set a tone. It set a tone for our community. The most pictured place in our city is the fountain. And that was something I had always hoped we would have, and the fountain is a place where everybody gets their picture of. It's a great place when I have people coming from out of town. I just meet them at the fountain at the park, and it's great. And it's also set the tone for the river front development, the hotel and the other parts of things, and then the downtown revitalization over the years, and how the buildings have been renovated. And this has become kind of a centerpiece, and it really has set a tone, and it really makes us different, because very few places have an area, a park like this in the middle of their town, right on the river, where you can watch the osprey and the eagles. And there's several other cities that have used this as inspiration and gone forward. And then we've built on it with the trails that go up and down, and sports fields, and there's more that's going to happen. So this is a great place to be.
Thank you, Mayor McArdle.
Oh.
I really appreciate you telling me the story of Riverview Park today.
Well, thank you. You know, it's not just me. It was council members, Downtown Association, so many people in all parts of the community. And this is an example of what happens when people work together, both here and finding others that want to join in the vision that we have, that's made Independence truly a leader, not just in the state, but around the United States. And our best days are yet to come.